This video contains audio content only. There are no visual elements or images accompanying the audio. If you're expecting to see video footage, please note that this is an intentional audio-only presentation. We recommend listening to this content rather than watching the screen. Thank you for your understanding and enjoy the audio. Welcome, everyone, to our deep dive into the fascinating world of Whippomorpha, a group of mammals that challenges our understanding of evolution and adaptation. Today, we're going to explore recent scientific research that has reshaped our view of these remarkable creatures, spanning from the enormous whales that roam our oceans to the hefty hippopotamuses that dominate African rivers. Our journey will take us through the evolutionary history of these animals, their unique adaptations, and the cutting-edge research that continues to unveil their secrets. We'll discuss how modern genetic studies have revolutionized our understanding of their relationships, and we'll explore the fossil evidence that tells the story of their incredible transition from land to sea. Whether you're a biology enthusiast, a conservation advocate, or simply curious about the wonders of the natural world, this video aims to provide you with a comprehensive overview of the latest findings in Whippomorpha research. We'll break down complex scientific concepts into digestible information, giving you insights into the evolutionary marvels that have allowed these animals to thrive in diverse aquatic environments. By the end of this video, you'll have a deeper appreciation for the intricate connections between seemingly different animals and a better understanding of how scientific research continually reshapes our knowledge of the natural world. So, let's dive in and explore the captivating world of Whippomorpha. 1. Evolutionary history and classification. Let's begin our exploration of Whippomorpha by delving into its evolutionary history and classification. This remarkable group of mammals has a fascinating story that challenges traditional views of animal evolution and classification. Whippomorpha is a clade, or group of organisms sharing a common ancestor, that includes two seemingly disparate groups of animals: cetaceans, which comprise whales, dolphins, and porpoises, and hippopotamuses. Now, you might be wondering how these very different-looking animals could be so closely related. The answer lies in their shared evolutionary history, which has been gradually unveiled through decades of scientific research. The story of Whippomorpha begins around 55 to 60 million years ago, during the early Eocene epoch. At this time, the ancestors of modern Whippomorphs were likely small, deer-like animals that lived on land. These creatures were part of a larger group called artiodactyls, or even toed ungulates, which today includes animals like cattle, deer, and pigs. Over millions of years, some of these early artiodactyls began to spend more time in and around water, perhaps initially to escape predators or to access new food sources. This gradual shift towards a more aquatic lifestyle set the stage for the incredible diversification we see in Whippomorpha today. The classification of Whippomorpha as a distinct group is relatively recent and represents a significant shift in our understanding of mammalian evolution. Traditionally, cetaceans were classified as a separate order from artiodactyls, while hippopotamuses were grouped with other even-toed ungulates. However, advances in genetic research and new fossil discoveries have led scientists to recognize the close relationship between these groups. Today, Whippomorpha is classified as a suborder within the order Artiodactyla. This classification reflects the growing consensus that cetaceans are, in essence, highly specialized artiodactyls that have adapted to a fully aquatic lifestyle. Meanwhile, hippopotamuses represent a lineage that has retained more of its terrestrial heritage while still evolving significant aquatic adaptations. This reclassification has had far-reaching implications for our understanding of mammalian evolution. It highlights the remarkable plasticity of mammalian body plans and demonstrates how dramatically animals can change over evolutionary time to adapt to new environments. The Whippomorpha clade is further divided into two main groups: Cetacea, which includes all whales, dolphins, and porpoises, and Hippopotamidae, which contains the two extant species of hippopotamus. Within Cetacea, there are further divisions, including the major groups Mysticeti, baleen whales, and Odontoceti, toothed whales, which include dolphins and porpoises. Understanding the evolutionary history and classification of Whippomorpha is crucial because it provides a framework for studying these animals' adaptations, behaviors, and ecological roles. It also offers valuable insights into the processes of evolution more broadly, demonstrating how major transitions in habitat and lifestyle can occur over geological time. Moreover, this classification has practical implications for conservation efforts. Recognizing the close relationship between cetaceans and hippopotamuses can inform strategies for protecting these animals and their habitats, as it highlights the interconnectedness of terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems. As we continue to study the evolutionary history of Whippomorpha, new discoveries are constantly refining our understanding. Ongoing research into the fossil record, combined with advanced genetic and genomic studies, continues to reveal new details about the evolutionary journey of these fascinating creatures. In the next section, we'll explore some of the shared adaptations that unite the members of Whippomorpha, providing further evidence of their common ancestry and illustrating the remarkable ways in which these animals have adapted to life in and around water. 2. Shared adaptations. As we delve deeper into the world of Whippomorpha, one of the most fascinating aspects to consider is the suite of shared adaptations that unite these seemingly diverse animals. Despite their outward differences, cetaceans and hippopotamuses share a number of key features that reflect their common ancestry and adaptation to aquatic or semi-aquatic lifestyles. One of the most striking shared adaptations among whippomorphs is the presence of a dense layer of subcutaneous fat. In cetaceans, this layer is known as blubber, and it serves multiple crucial functions. It provides insulation, helping these animals maintain their body temperature in cold ocean waters. It also aids in buoyancy and streamlines their body shape for efficient swimming. While not as thick as in cetaceans, hippopotamuses also possess a substantial layer of subcutaneous fat that serves similar purposes, helping them regulate their body temperature both in and out of the water. Another shared characteristic is the relative hairlessness of their bodies. Most cetaceans are almost entirely hairless, with only a few sensory hairs remaining around their mouths. Hippopotamuses, while not completely hairless, have much less hair than most other land mammals. This reduction in hair is beneficial for animals spending significant time in water, as it reduces drag and makes it easier to move through the aquatic environment. Both groups within Whippomorpha exhibit amphibious or fully aquatic behaviors, reflecting their evolutionary history of increasing adaptation to life in water. Cetaceans, of course, are fully aquatic and have evolved a host of specialized adaptations for this lifestyle. They can stay submerged for extended periods, have streamlined bodies for efficient swimming, and use their powerful tails for propulsion. Hippopotamuses, while not fully aquatic, are remarkably well adapted to a semi-aquatic lifestyle. They spend much of their time in water, can hold their breath for several minutes, and are surprisingly agile swimmers despite their bulky appearance. Interestingly, both cetaceans and hippopotamuses have evolved similar auditory structures that allow them to hear effectively both above and below water. This is particularly crucial for cetaceans, many of which rely heavily on sound for communication and echolocation. In hippopotamuses, these adaptations allow them to remain alert to potential threats or social cues while mostly submerged, with only their eyes, ears, and nostrils above the water surface. Perhaps one of the most intriguing shared adaptations is the ability of both groups to vocalize underwater. Cetaceans are well known for their complex vocalizations, including the haunting songs of humpback whales and the clicks and whistles of dolphins. Less well known is the fact that hippopotamuses also vocalize underwater. They produce a range of sounds, including grunts, groans, and wheezes, which can travel for considerable distances through water. This shared ability to communicate underwater further underscores the aquatic adaptations of these animals. Both cetaceans and hippopotamuses have also evolved specialized respiratory systems that allow them to hold their breath for extended periods. Cetaceans can stay submerged for incredibly long times. Some species of whales can dive for over an hour, thanks to adaptations such as increased blood volume, higher hemoglobin concentrations, and the ability to store oxygen in their muscles. While not as extreme, hippopotamuses can also hold their breath for several minutes, allowing them to graze on underwater vegetation and move about underwater with ease. Another fascinating shared adaptation is the position of their eyes and nostrils. In both groups, these structures are positioned high on the head, allowing the animals to see and breathe while mostly submerged. This is particularly evident in hippopotamuses, whose eyes, ears, and nostrils form distinctive bumps on the top of their heads. It's important to note that while these adaptations are shared, they often manifest in different ways or to different degrees in cetaceans and hippopotamuses, reflecting their varying levels of aquatic specialization. Cetaceans, being fully aquatic, have taken many of these adaptations to extremes, while hippopotamuses represent a more intermediate stage of aquatic adaptation. These shared adaptations provide compelling evidence for the common ancestry of cetaceans and hippopotamuses. They illustrate how evolution can shape different lineages in similar ways when they face comparable environmental challenges. Moreover, studying these adaptations can provide valuable insights into the process of evolutionary transition from terrestrial to aquatic lifestyles. As we continue to research and understand these shared characteristics, we gain not only a deeper appreciation for the remarkable adaptability of life but also crucial insights that can inform conservation efforts for these unique and important animals. In our next section, we'll explore how genetic and molecular evidence has further solidified our understanding of the close relationship between these fascinating creatures. 3. Genetic and molecular evidence. The field of genetics has revolutionized our understanding of evolutionary relationships, and nowhere is this more evident than in the study of Whippomorpha. The genetic and molecular evidence supporting the close relationship between cetaceans and hippopotamuses is both compelling and fascinating, providing a window into the evolutionary history of these remarkable animals. One of the most significant breakthroughs in this area came with the advent of DNA sequencing technologies. These tools allowed scientists to compare the genetic makeup of different species at a level of detail that was previously unimaginable. When researchers began applying these techniques to cetaceans and hippopotamuses, they uncovered a wealth of evidence supporting their close evolutionary relationship. Early molecular studies focused on comparing specific genes or regions of DNA between different species. These comparisons consistently showed that cetaceans and hippopotamuses shared more genetic similarities with each other than either group did with other artiodactyls. This was a surprising finding at the time, as the outward appearances of whales and hippos are so different. As sequencing technologies advanced, scientists were able to analyze larger portions of the genome, and eventually, entire genomes. These more comprehensive studies have only strengthened the case for the close relationship between cetaceans and hippopotamuses. They've revealed shared genetic sequences that are not present in other mammals, providing strong evidence of a common ancestor. One particularly interesting aspect of this genetic evidence is the discovery of shared mutations in genes related to aquatic adaptations. For example, researchers have found similarities in genes associated with skin development in both cetaceans and hippopotamuses. These shared genetic changes likely reflect adaptations to a more aquatic lifestyle in the common ancestor of these groups. Another fascinating area of research has been the study of pseudogenes, genes that have lost their function over evolutionary time. Scientists have identified several pseudogenes related to terrestrial adaptations that are shared between cetaceans and hippopotamuses. These non-functional genes provide a kind of genetic fossil record, offering clues about the terrestrial ancestors of these now largely aquatic animals. Molecular clock analyses, which use genetic differences to estimate when species diverge from each other, have also provided valuable insights. These studies suggest that the cetacean and hippopotamus lineages diverged from each other around 55 million years ago. This timing aligns well with the fossil record of early whales, adding another line of evidence supporting the Whippomorpha clade. One of the most powerful tools in molecular biology is the ability to detect signs of natural selection in DNA sequences. Researchers have used these techniques to identify genes that show evidence of positive selection in the common ancestor of cetaceans and hippopotamuses. Many of these genes are associated with aquatic adaptations, suggesting that the last common ancestor of these groups was already adapting to a more aquatic lifestyle. For example, studies have found evidence of selection on genes related to oxygen transport and storage, which would have been crucial for animals spending more time underwater. Similarly, genes involved in the development of blubber and other aquatic adaptations show signs of having been under strong selective pressure in the ancestral Whippomorph lineage. It's important to note that while the genetic evidence strongly supports the grouping of cetaceans and hippopotamuses, it also highlights the subsequent divergence of these lineages. Cetaceans, in particular, show evidence of rapid evolution and adaptation as they transitioned to a fully aquatic lifestyle. This is reflected in the many unique genetic adaptations found in modern whales and dolphins. The field of epigenetics, which studies how environmental factors can influence gene expression without changing the DNA sequence itself, is providing new avenues for understanding the adaptations of whippomorphs. Early studies in this area are revealing how these animals may be able to fine-tune their physiology in response to environmental changes, a crucial ability for animals living in dynamic aquatic environments. As our ability to analyze genetic data continues to advance, we're likely to uncover even more details about the evolutionary history and adaptations of Whippomorpha. New techniques, such as ancient DNA analysis, may allow us to directly study the genomes of extinct ancestors, providing an even clearer picture of how these fascinating animals evolved. The genetic and molecular evidence supporting the Whippomorpha clade is a testament to the power of modern biological research techniques. It demonstrates how advances in technology can reshape our understanding of evolutionary relationships and provide new insights into the processes of adaptation and speciation. As we continue to unravel the genetic secrets of these animals, we gain not only a deeper appreciation for their evolutionary history but also valuable insights that can inform conservation efforts and potentially even biomedical research. In our next section, we'll explore how the fossil record complements this genetic evidence, providing tangible, physical evidence of the evolutionary journey from land to sea that defines the Whippomorpha clade. 4. Fossil record and transitional forms. The story of Whippomorpha's evolution from terrestrial ancestors to the diverse aquatic and semi-aquatic forms we see today is beautifully illustrated by the fossil record. This physical evidence not only corroborates the genetic data we've discussed but also provides a tangible timeline of the incredible transformations these animals underwent. The fossil record of early whales, in particular, offers one of the most complete and compelling examples of macroevolution that we have. It charts a 55 million year journey from small, deer-like animals to the fully aquatic cetaceans we know today. This transition occurred in a series of stages, each represented by fascinating transitional fossils that bridge the gap between land and sea. One of the earliest known ancestors of modern whales is a genus called Pakicetus, which lived about 50 million years ago. Pakicetus was a wolf-sized animal that likely spent most of its time on land but may have entered shallow water to hunt or escape predators. While its overall body plan was still very much that of a terrestrial mammal, it had some features that hint at its aquatic descendants. For instance, the structure of its inner ear was intermediate between that of land mammals and modern whales, suggesting an increased sensitivity to underwater sound. Following Pakicetus, we see a progression of fossils showing gradual adaptation to a more aquatic lifestyle. Ambulocetus, often called the walking whale, lived about 49 million years ago. It was larger than Pakicetus and likely spent more time in the water. Its limbs were adapted for both walking on land and paddling in water, and its tail was becoming more powerful, foreshadowing the flukes of modern cetaceans. Another crucial transitional form is Rhodhocetus, which lived around 47 million years ago. This animal was even more adapted to an aquatic lifestyle, with a long, powerful tail and flipper-like hind limbs. Its nostrils had begun to move up the snout, a trend that would eventually lead to the blowhole of modern whales. Perhaps one of the most spectacular transitional fossils is Basilosaurus, which lived about 40 million years ago. This was a fully aquatic animal, up to 18 meters long, with tiny vestigial hind limbs that were no longer used for locomotion. Basilosaurus and its relatives represent the final stages of the transition to a fully aquatic lifestyle. These fossils, along with many others, provide a remarkably complete picture of the cetacean transition from land to sea. They show how, over millions of years, the body plan of these animals changed dramatically. Limbs were modified into flippers, tails became powerful flukes, nostrils migrated to the top of the head, and numerous other changes occurred in virtually every part of the body. The fossil record of hippopotamuses, while not as extensive as that of cetaceans, also provides valuable insights. The oldest known fossils that can be definitively assigned to the hippopotamus lineage date back to about 16 million years ago. However, molecular evidence suggests that the hippo lineage diverged from cetaceans much earlier, around 55 million years ago. This gap in the fossil record has led researchers to look for potential ancestors of hippos among other extinct groups of artiodactyls. One group that has received particular attention is the anthracotheres, an extinct family of pig-like animals that lived from the Eocene to the Pliocene epochs. Some anthracotheres showed adaptations for a semi-aquatic lifestyle, similar to modern hippos. A particularly interesting fossil in this context is Eporogenes locanensis, discovered in Kenya and dating back to about 28 million years ago. This animal, while not a direct ancestor of modern hippos, seems to represent a transitional form between anthracotheres and hippopotamuses. It shares features with both groups, providing a glimpse into how the hippo lineage may have evolved. The fossil record also provides evidence for the diversity of extinct whippomorphs. For example, we have fossils of numerous extinct cetacean lineages, including some that retained vestigial hind limbs long after they had become fully aquatic. Similarly, there were once several species of hippopotamuses, including dwarf species that lived on various Mediterranean islands. One of the most valuable aspects of the fossil record is that it allows us to see how different features evolved over time. For instance, we can trace the gradual transformation of the cetacean skull, including the movement of the nostrils to the top of the head and the development of structures related to echolocation in toothed whales. The fossils also provide information about the environments these animals lived in, helping us understand the ecological context of their evolution. For example, many early whale fossils are found in what were once shallow seas or estuaries, suggesting that these environments played a crucial role in the early stages of cetacean evolution. It's important to note that while the fossil record of Whippomorpha is impressive, it's not complete. There are still gaps in our knowledge, particularly regarding the early evolution of the hippopotamus lineage. However, new fossils are continually being discovered, each adding to our understanding of these animals' evolutionary history. The fossil record of Whippomorpha is a testament to the power of evolution to produce dramatic changes over long periods of time. It shows us how animals can adapt to new environments, sometimes in ways that seem almost unbelievable. From land-dwelling ancestors to the whales that plumb the ocean depths and the hippos that dominate African rivers, the evolutionary journey of Whippomorpha is truly awe-inspiring. As we continue to study these fossils and uncover new ones, we gain not only a better understanding of how these remarkable animals evolved, but also broader insights into the processes of evolution and adaptation. This knowledge is crucial not only for our scientific understanding but also for informing conservation efforts for modern whippomorphs. In our next section, we'll explore some of the unique anatomical features that characterize modern whippomorphs, showing how the evolutionary history we've discussed is reflected in the bodies of these fascinating animals today. 5. Unique anatomical features. The long evolutionary journey of Whippomorpha has resulted in a suite of unique anatomical features that set these animals apart from their terrestrial relatives. These adaptations, while diverse between cetaceans and hippopotamuses, all reflect their shared heritage and adaptation to life in or near water. Let's explore some of these fascinating anatomical features. Starting with cetaceans, one of the most striking features is their modified limb structure. The forelimbs have evolved into flippers, while the hind limbs have been almost entirely lost, remaining only as small internal vestiges in most species. This dramatic modification of the limb structure is a perfect example of how evolution can repurpose existing structures for new functions. The flipper-like forelimbs provide stability and steering in the water, while the powerful tail, ending in flukes, provides the main propulsive force. The cetacean skull has undergone remarkable changes as well. One of the most notable is the repositioning of the nostrils to the top of the head, forming the blowhole. This allows cetaceans to breathe easily while remaining mostly submerged. The skull has also become telescoped, with the bones overlapping in a way that directs any forces from swimming or diving along the axis of the skull, providing additional strength. In toothed whales, we see another unique feature: the presence of a melon, a fatty organ in the forehead that plays a crucial role in echolocation. This organ focuses the sound produced by these animals, allowing them to form a detailed acoustic picture of their environment. It's a remarkable adaptation that allows these animals to navigate and hunt effectively in the often murky waters they inhabit. Another fascinating feature of cetaceans is the structure of their ears. To adapt to underwater hearing, the ear canal has been largely closed off, and sound is instead conducted through the lower jaw to the inner ear. This adaptation allows for excellent underwater hearing while also protecting the ear from the intense pressures experienced during deep dives. Speaking of deep dives, cetaceans have evolved numerous adaptations for holding their breath and diving to great depths. These include collapsible lungs, high concentrations of myoglobin in their muscles for storing oxygen, and the ability to slow their heart rate dramatically during dives. One of the most unusual anatomical features of cetaceans is the asymmetry of their skulls, particularly pronounced in toothed whales. This asymmetry is thought to be related to their echolocation abilities, possibly helping to direct sound. It's a unique feature among mammals and demonstrates how evolution can produce seemingly strange adaptations in response to specific environmental pressures. Turning to hippopotamuses, while they haven't undergone the same degree of aquatic specialization as cetaceans, they still possess numerous unique adaptations for their semi-aquatic lifestyle. Their eyes, ears, and nostrils are positioned high on their heads, allowing them to remain mostly submerged while still being able to see, hear, and breathe. This is a classic example of convergent evolution, as a similar adaptation is seen in crocodilians. Hippos have a unique skin structure that includes glands that secrete a reddish substance often referred to as blood sweat. This substance acts as a sunscreen, moisturizer, and antibiotic, helping to protect the hippo's skin during its long periods in the water and on land under the hot African sun. The jaw structure of hippopotamuses is also quite remarkable. They have enormous canine and incisor teeth that continue to grow throughout their lives. These teeth are used not primarily for feeding, hippos or grazers, but for fighting and displaying dominance. The ability of these teeth to continually grow is an important adaptation, as they would otherwise be worn down by the abrasive grasses that make up the bulk of a hippo's diet. Both cetaceans and hippopotamuses have a thick layer of blubber or subcutaneous fat. In cetaceans, this layer is extremely well developed and serves multiple functions including insulation, energy storage, and body streamlining. In hippos, while not as thick, this fat layer still provides important insulation and buoyancy control. The digestive systems of both groups have also undergone interesting modifications. Cetaceans have simplified digestive systems compared to their terrestrial ancestors, reflecting their carnivorous diets. Hippopotamuses, on the other hand, have complex, multi-chambered stomachs that allow them to efficiently digest the tough vegetation that makes up their diet. Another shared feature, though manifested differently, is the ability to close off their nostrils and ears underwater. In cetaceans, this is achieved through muscular control, while hippos have special valves that seal these openings when submerged. The reproductive anatomy of these animals has also been modified for their aquatic or semi-aquatic lifestyles. In cetaceans, the testes and mammary glands are internalized to maintain streamlining. Hippopotamuses give birth and nurse their young in the water, and their reproductive anatomy reflects this lifestyle. These unique anatomical features of whippomorphs are a testament to the power of evolution to shape organisms in response to their environment. They show how structures can be modified, repurposed, or even lost entirely as animals adapt to new ways of life. From the dramatically modified body plan of cetaceans to the more subtly adapted form of hippopotamuses, these features tell the story of Whippomorpha's evolutionary journey. Studying these anatomical adaptations not only helps us understand the evolutionary history of these animals but also provides insights into their physiology, behavior, and ecological roles. This knowledge is crucial for conservation efforts and can even have applications in fields like biomimicry, where engineers and designers look to nature for inspiration. In our next section, we'll explore the incredible diversity within Whippomorpha, from the smallest dolphins to the largest animals that have ever lived, and examine how these animals have adapted to a wide range of aquatic environments. 6. Diversity and adaptations. The Whippomorpha clade showcases an extraordinary range of diversity, particularly within the cetacean lineage. This diversity is reflected not only in the variety of species but also in the wide range of sizes, shapes, and ecological adaptations we see among these animals. Let's explore this remarkable diversity and the adaptations that have allowed whippomorphs to thrive in various aquatic environments. Starting with size, whippomorphs include some of the largest animals to have ever existed on Earth. The blue whale, a member of the baleen whale group, can reach lengths of up to 30 meters and weights of up to 200 tons, making it the largest animal known to have ever lived. At the other end of the spectrum, some of the smallest cetaceans, like Maui's dolphin, may be less than 1.5 meters long and weigh only about 40 kilograms. This extreme range in size is accompanied by a diversity of body shapes and adaptations. Baleen whales, for instance, have evolved a filter feeding system using keratinous plates called baleen to strain small prey from seawater. This adaptation has allowed them to exploit abundant food sources like krill and small fish, supporting their enormous body sizes. Toothed whales, on the other hand, have retained teeth and are active predators. They've evolved a wide range of feeding strategies. Sperm whales, for example, are deep diving specialists that hunt giant squid in the ocean's depths. Killer whales are apex predators known for their intelligence and complex hunting strategies, sometimes even preying on other whales. Smaller dolphins often hunt fish in cooperative groups, using their echolocation to locate and corral their prey. Speaking of echolocation, this is one of the most remarkable adaptations seen in toothed whales. By producing high-frequency sounds and listening to the echoes, these animals can create detailed, acoustic images of their environment. This ability allows them to navigate and hunt effectively even in dark or murky waters. The development of echolocation has been accompanied by changes in brain structure, with many cetaceans having large and complex brains relative to their body size. Cetaceans have also evolved a wide range of social structures. Many species live in complex social groups, with some, like sperm whales and killer whales, forming long-term family units. Others, like humpback whales, have more fluid social structures but come together for activities like cooperative feeding or breeding. The diversity of cetaceans is also reflected in their habitats. While most species are marine, some, like river dolphins, have adapted to freshwater environments. These animals often have unique adaptations, such as enhanced flexibility to navigate in winding rivers, and in some cases, reduced eyesight in favor of more developed echolocation abilities to cope with murky river waters. Cetaceans have also evolved remarkable diving abilities. Some species, like Cuvier's beaked whale, can dive to depths of nearly 3,000 meters and stay underwater for over 2 hours. These deep diving specialists have evolved several adaptations to cope with the extreme pressures at these depths, including collapsible lungs and rib cages, and the ability to store oxygen in their muscles rather than their lungs. While not as diverse as cetaceans in terms of species number, hippopotamuses also show interesting adaptations. The common hippopotamus is a semi-aquatic animal adapted to spend long periods in the water. They have nostrils that close underwater, eyes and ears positioned high on their heads, and webbed toes that help them move through water and across muddy river bottoms. The pygmy hippopotamus, while closely related to its larger cousin, has some distinct adaptations. It's more terrestrial and is adapted to forest environments. Its legs are proportionally longer, and its feet less webbed, allowing it to navigate through dense vegetation more easily. Both hippopotamus species have unique digestive adaptations. They're hindgut fermenters, meaning they have enlarged chambers at the end of their digestive tracts where bacteria break down tough plant material. This allows them to extract nutrients from the grasses and other vegetation that make up their diet. One fascinating adaptation shared by both cetaceans and hippopotamuses is their ability to give birth and nurse their young in water. This requires specific anatomical and behavioral adaptations, such as the ability of newborns to quickly swim to the surface for their first breath, and specially positioned mammary glands that allow underwater nursing. The diversity we see in Whippomorpha is a testament to the power of evolution to produce a wide range of forms and adaptations from a common ancestor. It shows how animals can adapt to fill various ecological niches, from the ocean depths to rivers and lakes. This diversity also highlights the importance of these animals in their respective ecosystems. Cetaceans, for instance, play crucial roles in marine food webs, with some species acting as apex predators and others helping to cycle nutrients through the water column. Hippopotamuses are important in African river ecosystems, influencing vegetation patterns and nutrient cycling through their feeding and defecation habits. Understanding this diversity and these adaptations is crucial not only for our scientific knowledge but also for conservation efforts. Different species face different threats and may require tailored conservation strategies. For example, river dolphins face unique challenges related to habitat degradation and fragmentation in river systems, while large whales may be more impacted by ocean noise pollution or ship strikes. As we continue to study the diversity of Whippomorpha, we're likely to uncover even more fascinating adaptations and ecological relationships. This ongoing research not only enhances our understanding of these remarkable animals but also provides valuable insights into evolution, ecology, and conservation that can be applied more broadly. In our next section, we'll discuss some of the conservation challenges facing whippomorphs and explore how our understanding of their evolutionary history and adaptations can inform efforts to protect these unique and important animals. 7. Conservation and threats. As we've explored the fascinating evolutionary history and remarkable adaptations of Whippomorpha, it's crucial to also consider the conservation status of these animals and the threats they face in today's rapidly changing world. Many species within this clade, particularly among cetaceans, are facing significant challenges that threaten their survival. Understanding these threats and developing effective conservation strategies is vital for ensuring the continued existence of these extraordinary animals. Let's start by looking at the situation for cetaceans. Many whale and dolphin species are currently listed as threatened or endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN. The threats they face are diverse and often interconnected, reflecting the complex nature of marine ecosystems and the wide-ranging impacts of human activities. One of the most significant historical threats to cetaceans was commercial whaling. While international bans have greatly reduced this practice, some countries continue to hunt whales, and the legacy of past whaling still affects many populations today. Species like the North Atlantic right whale and the vaquita porpoise have been pushed to the brink of extinction, with only a few hundred or even few dozen individuals remaining in the wild. Today, one of the most pervasive threats to cetaceans is entanglement in fishing gear. Hundreds of thousands of whales and dolphins die each year after becoming entangled in nets, lines, and other fishing equipment. This bycatch is a particular problem for smaller cetacean species, but even large whales can become fatally entangled. Another major threat is pollution. Cetaceans, being at the top of marine food chains, are particularly vulnerable to bioaccumulation of pollutants like heavy metals and persistent organic pollutants. These toxins can affect their health, reproduction, and immune function. Additionally, the increasing amount of plastic in our oceans poses a serious threat, with many cetaceans ingesting or becoming entangled in plastic debris. Noise pollution is an often overlooked but increasingly significant threat to cetaceans. These animals rely heavily on sound for communication, navigation, and finding food. Human-generated noise from sources like shipping, oil and gas exploration, and military sonar can disrupt these vital behaviors. In some cases, intense underwater noise has been linked to mass strandings of whales and dolphins. Climate change is another overarching threat that affects cetaceans in multiple ways. Rising ocean temperatures are altering the distribution of prey species, forcing many cetaceans to shift their ranges or face food shortages. Ocean acidification, caused by increased carbon dioxide absorption, is affecting the entire marine food web, with potential cascading effects on cetaceans. Melting sea ice is dramatically changing Arctic ecosystems, impacting species like the narwhal and beluga whale. Ship strikes are a significant danger for larger whale species, particularly in areas with heavy maritime traffic. As global shipping continues to increase, this threat is likely to grow unless mitigating measures are implemented. For river dolphins, habitat degradation is a critical issue. Dam construction, pollution, and changes in river flow due to water extraction are all major threats. Some species, like the Yangtze River dolphin, have already been driven to extinction, while others, like the Amazon River dolphin, face ongoing challenges. Turning to hippopotamuses, while they don't face quite the same diversity of threats as cetaceans, their conservation status is also concerning. The common hippopotamus is listed as vulnerable by the IUCN, while the pygmy hippopotamus is endangered. The primary threats to hippos are habitat loss and fragmentation. As human populations in Africa continue to grow, more land is being converted for agriculture and urban development, reducing the wetland habitats that hippos depend on. Climate change is exacerbating this problem by altering rainfall patterns and causing more frequent droughts in some areas. Hippos are also threatened by hunting, both for their meat and for their ivory teeth. While the international trade in hippo ivory is regulated, illegal poaching remains a significant problem in some areas. Human-wildlife conflict is another issue for hippo conservation. As hippo habitats shrink and human settlements expand, encounters between hippos and people are becoming more frequent. These encounters can be dangerous for both parties and often result in negative outcomes for the hippos. Conservation efforts for whippomorphs are diverse and multifaceted, reflecting the range of threats these animals face. For cetaceans, strategies include establishing marine protected areas, implementing stricter regulations on fishing practices to reduce bycatch, and developing technologies to reduce underwater noise pollution. Efforts are also underway to address the threat of ship strikes, including the implementation of speed limits in certain areas and the use of real-time whale alert systems. Conservation groups are working to clean up ocean pollution and advocate for reduced plastic use. For hippos, conservation efforts focus on habitat protection and restoration, anti-poaching measures, and programs to mitigate human-wildlife conflict. There are also initiatives to establish wildlife corridors to connect fragmented hippo populations. Research plays a crucial role in these conservation efforts. Understanding the biology, behavior, and ecological needs of these animals is essential for developing effective protection strategies. New technologies, such as satellite tracking and environmental DNA analysis, are providing valuable insights into the movements and distributions of these animals. Public education and awareness are also key components of conservation efforts. Many organizations work to educate the public about the importance of whippomorphs and the threats they face, encouraging support for conservation measures. International cooperation is vital for protecting these often wide-ranging animals. Many cetacean species migrate across international boundaries, requiring coordinated conservation efforts between countries. Similarly, hippos often inhabit rivers that form borders between countries, necessitating transboundary conservation initiatives. Despite the many challenges, there have been some conservation successes. Several whale species, including the humpback whale and the southern right whale, have shown significant population recoveries since the end of large-scale commercial whaling. These examples provide hope and demonstrate that concerted conservation efforts can make a difference. However, the overall picture for many whippomorph species remains concerning. Climate change, in particular, poses a long-term threat that will require global action to address. The fate of these remarkable animals is closely tied to the health of our planet's aquatic ecosystems, making their conservation a matter of global importance. As we continue to study and understand the evolutionary history and unique adaptations of whippomorphs, we gain valuable insights that can inform and improve conservation efforts. By protecting these animals, we're not only preserving incredible products of evolution but also maintaining the health and balance of crucial ecosystems. In our final section, we'll discuss some of the ongoing research and debates in the field of whippomorph studies, exploring how our understanding of these animals continues to evolve and what questions remain to be answered. 8. Ongoing research and debates. The field of whippomorph research is dynamic and ever-evolving, with new discoveries constantly refining our understanding of these fascinating animals. In this final section, we'll explore some of the ongoing areas of research and current debates in the field, highlighting how our knowledge continues to grow and change. One area of ongoing research and debate centers around the exact evolutionary relationships within Whippomorpha. While the close relationship between cetaceans and hippopotamuses is well established, the details of how different cetacean groups are related to each other, and how the hippo lineage fits into this picture, are still being refined. Advances in genomic sequencing and analysis are providing new insights into these relationships, sometimes challenging previous ideas based on morphological evidence. For example, there's been debate about the relationship between the two main groups of cetaceans, toothed whales, Odontoceti, and baleen whales, Mysticeti. Some genetic studies have suggested that these groups might have separated earlier than previously thought, with implications for our understanding of how features like echolocation and filter feeding evolved. Another active area of research involves the study of convergent evolution versus shared ancestral traits in Whippomorpha. As we've discussed, cetaceans and hippopotamuses share several features related to aquatic or semi-aquatic lifestyles. Researchers are working to determine which of these traits were inherited from a common semi-aquatic ancestor, and which evolved independently in each lineage. This research not only informs our understanding of whippomorph evolution but also provides insights into the processes of adaptation more broadly. The cognitive abilities and social structures of cetaceans continue to be a major focus of research. Studies on dolphin communication, whale songs, and the complex social behaviors of species like sperm whales and killer whales are revealing new levels of sophistication. There's ongoing debate about the nature and extent of cetacean intelligence, with some researchers arguing that certain species may have forms of culture or self-awareness comparable to great apes. In the realm of conservation biology, there's active research into the impacts of anthropogenic threats on whippomorphs and the effectiveness of various conservation strategies. For example, studies are examining how cetaceans are adapting, or failing to adapt, to warming oceans and changing prey distributions. Researchers are also investigating the long-term effects of noise pollution on cetacean behavior and physiology. For hippopotamuses, there's ongoing research into their ecological roles in African ecosystems. Some studies suggest that hippos play a crucial role in nutrient cycling in rivers and lakes, acting as a kind of conveyor belt, moving nutrients from terrestrial to aquatic ecosystems. Understanding these ecological functions is vital for conservation efforts and ecosystem management. Another fascinating area of research involves the study of extinct whippomorphs. New fossil discoveries continue to fill in gaps in our understanding of how these animals evolved. For instance, recent finds have provided new insights into the transition of early whales from land to sea, including details about how their sensory systems adapted to aquatic life. There's also ongoing debate about the classification of certain extinct species. For example, some researchers have suggested that certain extinct hippo-like animals might actually be more closely related to whales than to modern hippos, which could reshape our understanding of early whippomorph evolution. Advances in technology are opening up new avenues for whippomorph research. The use of drones, for instance, is allowing researchers to observe whale behavior from new perspectives, providing insights into feeding strategies and social interactions. Similarly, improvements in satellite tracking technology are enabling long-term studies of cetacean migrations and habitat use. In the field of bioacoustics, new recording and analysis techniques are revealing previously unknown details about cetacean vocalizations. Some researchers are even working on developing systems to decode whale and dolphin communications, though the complexity of these vocalizations makes this a challenging task. For hippopotamuses, camera trap studies are providing new insights into their behavior and ecology, particularly for the elusive pygmy hippopotamus. These studies are crucial for understanding the conservation needs of these animals and for mitigating human-wildlife conflict. There's also growing interest in the potential applications of whippomorph research in fields like biomimicry. The remarkable adaptations of these animals for aquatic life are inspiring innovations in fields ranging from submarine design to swimwear technology. One particularly exciting area of research involves the study of whale genetics for insights into cancer resistance. Despite their large body size and long lifespans, which should theoretically increase cancer risk, whales have remarkably low rates of cancer. Researchers are investigating the genetic mechanisms behind this, with potential implications for human cancer research. As our understanding of whippomorphs grows, new questions and debates inevitably arise. For instance, there's ongoing discussion about the ethics of keeping cetaceans in captivity, informed by our growing understanding of their cognitive abilities and social needs. Similarly, debates continue about the management of hippo populations in areas where they come into conflict with human activities. The field of whippomorph research is also grappling with broader questions in biology. How do major evolutionary transitions, like the move from land to sea, occur? How do animals adapt to extreme environments, like the deep ocean? How do complex social behaviors and cognitive abilities evolve? Whippomorphs provide fascinating case studies for exploring these fundamental biological questions. As we conclude our exploration of Whippomorpha, it's clear that while we've learned an enormous amount about these animals, there's still much to discover. From the intricacies of their evolutionary history to the complexities of their behavior and ecology, Whippomorphs continue to fascinate and surprise us. The ongoing research in this field not only enhances our understanding of these remarkable animals but also provides valuable insights into evolution, ecology, and conservation that can be applied more broadly. As we face growing environmental challenges, the lessons we learn from studying Whippomorphs may prove crucial in our efforts to protect and preserve the incredible diversity of life on our planet. In closing, the story of Whippomorpha is a testament to the power of evolution, the resilience of life, and the interconnectedness of all living things. It reminds us of the wonders that surround us and the importance of protecting the natural world. As we continue to study and understand these extraordinary animals, we deepen our appreciation for the complexity and beauty of life on Earth.